everybody, and welcome to Geeks and Drinks. I'm Jason, that's Jordan. We're here having some drinks and just ranting about everything nerd because there was a lot going on in the past week and a half since our last episode.
The 1 week where a bunch of nerd shit happened was the 1 week we didn't do a video.
Well, part and partial because, you know, we have lives and whatnot, and you actually ended up going to, like, the Ren Fair.
Yeah.
How was that?
Hell yeah, man. Got a sweet tunic tan. It was the only awkward bit was like near the end. I was so hammered. Like my tunic was supposed to be like this the entire time. By the end of it, it's like I'm one step away from a nip slip. Let me just cover myself
just
back
cover
up.
it there.
But it was one of those things like it was. Let me cover that back up. All right, we're good, right?
Oh jeez.
Yeah, the girlfriend took a photo. I'm like, yeah, you're not showing that to anyone. Why? Because I'm 1 centimeter away from pulling a Janet Jackson.
Which may or may not be expected at a Ren Fair. I was there last year, and it happened to coincide with the same day as the Doctor Who one, which was an absolute blast. Just seeing all like 9, and I even saw like a 4 there.
I saw a 4.
Just
Because every once their little thing, one weekend, it's called Time Travelers Weekend. Where just where you get all the Doctor Who and all the other super nerdy shit. That was the same weekend I went.
Okay. Now, was it unbearably hot as it was last year, or?
Well, you're a cuddly dude. Like, you sweat way more than I do.
I sweat in a blizzard, so.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, like, I had my tunic on and just jeans and chucks, but if it was hot, I was too hammered. I didn't.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember a few years ago, I actually went to the Ren Fair on behalf of actually G4. I had a friend who worked there, and they had this like viewer army kind of thing, where they will screened people would actually get like a little handheld camera and a microphone, and they would get access paid for by G4 to go to certain places to cover it for the network. And because a friend of mine worked there, she was like, "Yeah, you grab your friend. I'll be a cameraman for it." And we got the royal treatment. They put me up in this entire outfit. I had like an actual kilt. They were like, "All right, roll you on the ground and rub you up." Okay, cool.
Now I'm just jealous.
Now that you're all covered up and whatnot, lose them. What do you mean lose them? Boxers, lose them. All right, we're going the correct way.
Oh, see, I'd be too tempted to start randomly thrusting while trying to interview people. Just as I'm going, it's like, eye contact. Can you do it?
Oh, it was tempting. But, let's put it this way, all sort of considerations for decency went out the door because the first thing we interviewed...
It's the Renaissance and Pleasure Fair.
Well, that, but also the first stop was the mead and port shop. And they had each of us down like 3 cups of mead. So I was feeling great for the entire day with all of that.
Within 10 minutes, I was already like 4 drinks in. My aunt gave me some weird little pocket shot thing, a little plastic baggie. I don't know. I drank that, walked in, got a thing of mead, drank that, and realized, oh, I only get that much for mead? Yeah, give me a beer too.
That was probably the better part of it. Did you get any food at all there? You got like the turkey legs?
Turkey leg, obviously.
Right.
Some weird steak sandwich and beignets. I was really surprised that they had beignets for some reason.
Really? That must have been a new thing. Yeah, okay.
Like I was already feeling drunk. It's like I can't be this drunk this early on. I probably need to get something. But I mean, luckily, being in a relationship, it's one of those things. It's what's mine is hers. So even if I order something, it's like, oh yeah, you get half.
What's mine is hers, and what's hers is, if she's generous, partially mine.
Sometimes.
Something like that. But yeah, it sounds like you had a good time. I haven't gone this season yet. Maybe not. I'm not sure what my schedule's going to entail. Before we move on, I did want to say about the drinks that we were having this week. You brought over a new whiskey that's
so good.
Unbelievably so much better than my usual standard, which is the Jameson 12. And this is what, a Redbreast 12.
Single another Irish whiskey.
And just the smoothness and literally that taste. The aftertaste itself is just perfect.
There's no recoil. Like
exactly.
Most liquors, when you drink it, there's that...
Yeah, exactly.
Like a 60s cartoon character after an explosion. You don't get that with this. It's just smooth all the way. That's why it's like I showed up. It's like I had a bit of a taste. 1/4 of the bottle is already gone.
But what about these beers, though? Now, all I saw was organic. And, I mean, for one...
First off, before you think I'm a hippie, I started buying shit that's organic.
Well,
it's a brewery called Samuel Smith. Everything I've had from them is fantastic.
Okay.
Like they have an oatmeal stout. I think that's like their big one. I think.
Okay.
Like that's the one I always see. But every time I see a new Samuel Smith, I'm like, yeah, let's give it a whirl. Like, they have a cherry ale. It tastes like cherry soda and beer.
Okay. Is it one of those that you really can't taste anything other than just like the cherry soda kind of thing, or?
No, like it's fruity enough to have flavor, but it's not overtly like super sweet where it's like a cider.
Okay.
I mean, like they had an apricot one too that tastes like fucking apricots. It was just good.
Nice. Where'd you pick these up at? Like a local like
Total
Total Wine? I gotta say, the more and more I keep on hearing about Total Wine and my experiences with them, I'm starting to go there more often than I do Bevmo. Because that used to be my go-to spot.
You still go to Bevmo?
Well, let me rephrase that. The only times I go to Bevmo nowadays, mainly, is to go pick up my usual addiction, which I buy a few bottles of Balls, which is BAWLS.
No, I'm aware of the beverage.
Yeah. For those of you who were watching and or listening, yes, we submitted this.
Basically, if you're just tuning in, we chug Balls like crazy.
And then you add mints to it and shake it up, and it's called Fizzy Balls, and never mind.
I drank Balls all throughout, Balls energy drink,
yep.
All throughout high school. And that was the only reason why I went there. So after a while, once Total Wine came around, it's like, I have no reason to go to Bevmo anymore. Because they're cheaper than them, too, and they generally have more stuff.
As I've seen so far. And I do have to say, this pale ale I'm having is actually really good. So, those are the drinks we're having for this week. Hopefully, next week, we may actually have a drink that you guys can make at home, some sort of nerdy cocktail. There are dozens of websites out there sharing hundreds, if not thousands, of different recipes. And you know what? Screw it. We're going to go into them and start looking at which ones, one, we can make, and two, might possibly be good. So stay tuned for those in future episodes. But let's get back to the news. And the big thing this past weekend was Star Wars Celebration, which was held at the Anaheim Convention Center. Good God, there were so many things coming out in terms of news from there. First up, you had the brand new trailer, which, one, looked amazing.
That's how you make a fat man weep. Just show him that trailer.
The only part you need to show of that trailer to make a fat man weep.
We're home.
Yeah, the last 8 seconds of that trailer with Han Solo and Chewbacca. Holy crap! I will admit that it got a little misty, but if there was any sort of way to hit the nostalgia button for all the fans out there, that was definitely the one.
Yeah. It's like Mark Hamill. Like it's like his voice, and then all the other stuff. But like when it fades to black and it's just them, it's like Chewie, we're home. It's like.
It's actually happening!
You turn into like a 6-year-old girl in an anime, just all sparkly eyed, like,
will senpai notice me? Oh, God. Another big surprise that was actually on the first day was when they had the cast come out for episode 7. They also showed R2-D2, classic standard, great character, great droid. But then they brought out BB-8, and since the first trailer came out, everyone was expecting this has to be CG. It's a half of a droid head spinning on top of a ball.
Oh, it's fucking real.
Yeah, when it rolled out, the whole place erupted, and I was actually sitting at home watching the live stream and literally almost at the top of my lungs going, holy shit, it's real, and it's working around. Instantly thereafter, tons of people out there went online and trying to figure out, okay, now we know it's real. How the fuck do we make one ourselves? Thankfully, Disney kind of already answered that. The CEO, Bob Iger, they were calling him influential in bringing the company Sphero, who makes these little balls of the same name that you can connect to like an iPhone or Android device and just roll it around. They brought that company in to create the technology for BB-8. And if you go to Sphero's website, which I think is like gosphero.com/Star Wars, you can actually sign up for a mailing list because they've confirmed they're going to make a consumer version of BB-8.
Like a to scale replica, or like
they just said
a small bauble you can just kind of put on your desk.
They said one that can move around and control and whatnot, but a consumer level BB-8. For the rumor is about $150. I'm hoping to at least be
okay. So it's like an RC
size.
car, probably.
Essentially, yes.
Okay. I'm trying to imagine like those people that like have like a real life R2, like this thing that's like 4 feet tall.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, no. Like I'm a nerd and I love the shit that I keep getting and receiving and stuff like that, but I would never want or buy that.
Really?
What would you do with that besides keep it in the corner and be like, that's rad?
Well, have you seen what's behind you?
That's fine. And how many times I made fun of you for that?
Every single time.
4 out of 5.
This will be the 4th out of the 5th time for this time.
And how? No, like it's J.J. Abrams made it very apparent the fact that he wanted to have very practical effects.
Yes.
Especially when he came out and said that, and then eventually when he had the charity thing they were doing, and you saw everything go on behind, like including like the weird Muppet merchant dude that was walking around.
Yep.
Like they I feel like Disney is trying to apologize for the Lucas prequels.
I wouldn't say they're more like apologizing, more along the lines of
they're trying to get back to their roots, kind of.
Yes,
like they saw all the backlash that had, which is why, like, one of the reasons why I love Disney. They treat their legacies and stuff like that, and all their franchises with such respect. I mean, they immediately went like, "Oh, okay, so you guys didn't like that, because it fucked with all the shit that you loved. Cool, let's go back to the shit you love and go back to making things that are good, like Tron."
Yeah.
You know I love Tron, possibly way too much, if that's even a thing. But
there's never such a thing as not liking Tron too much.
But when I remember when they were like Disney was doing another Tron, some people are pissed off. I'm like, no, if someone's doing it, I'm glad it's Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Disney already owned the original, but it was one of those things like I know they know how to take care of their shit.
Exactly. It's simple. One of those that they know that there's such a die-hard, strong fan base for it that they know that if they don't listen to them in some form or another, or at least blow them out of the water with some new idea or new plot device, that not just the film, but the franchise as a whole was going to die.
Yeah. And
all that tens of millions of dollars that they've spent on this franchise will be pretty much all for naught. Back to the archives. But yeah, I do like the fact that Disney is going to be expanding at a fairly rapid pace. Not only with the comics, which are amazing, not only with the books, which I've read one of the new books that come out with the new canon, works fantastic. I'm currently reading Tarkin, which is a great insight to that character. But then you have the expansions of the movies, the spin-offs, which now they're going to call anthologies. They made the announcement at Celebration.
The movies or comics?
The movies.
Okay, yeah, that I was kind of excited for.
Yeah, they have the first one, which is called Rogue One. They showed not even a teaser trailer, more of like a proof of concept. Basically, you see a camera panning over a forest. You're hearing random erratic chatter over some sort of comm link. As the camera pans up, you see the outline of the Death Star. Some people are complaining, oh, it's too big, it can't be that close to the planet. Shut up with the physics already. It's a fantasy. Leave it at that. But that got me excited because
I also just want to throw that doesn't actually exist yet. Like, you can't go watch this somewhere.
No.
Because I spent like 30 goddamn minutes like just on YouTube and on the internet trying to find a video when you told me, like, dude, did you see Rogue One? Oh my god, did you see this, that? No? Fuck, alright, I'm missing something. 30 minutes online, like, no, alright, fucking reaction video. I have to listen to someone like me just yelling at a camera talking about something, and it pissed me off.
I was lucky enough to watch it during the live stream. I was just watching it, and I'm like, holy crap. Just the idea that within the Star Wars universe, you can have a feature-length film starring not a single Jedi.
Yeah.
Regular people getting together to try to steal the plans of the Death Star. I'm all for this. It could work very well. Of course, they had information about Episode 8, and they're going to keep on expanding as fast as possible because, well, it's Star Wars. A lot of nerds have already raged over Star Wars Battlefront. Have you ever heard about that at all?
Why are they mad? Because of DLC?
No, well, that's part of it. There's an extra DLC, I think it's at launch DLC, which means after paying $60-$70 for the game, you have to shell out another $15-$20 just for this extra piece. That's probably already on the disc itself when you buy it, but you have to pay this extra to unlock it. That's supposed to be the direct precursor to Episode 8. Sorry, Episode 7. But
yeah, I was like, wait, they've already gone that far? Fuck.
Yes, sorry.
Damn, they're advanced.
Sorry, yes. The whole thing that a lot of people had problems with was a lot of the features that made the Battlefront series so much fun, like Star Wars Battlefront 2 and whatnot. Things like having the space battles, being able to fly from space all the way down through the atmosphere and join another battle already, in progress. Be able to control AT-ATs, be able to have up to 64 players in a massive online battle, which was absolutely insane at the time.
Okay, so why are nerds pissed again?
All the stuff I just mentioned, not going to happen in this version. They've taken away a bunch of these features. Now, granted, this is the first Star Wars game, I believe, by Studio DICE, which is famous for the Battlefield series. And to be honest, I watched their in-game footage
Swear to
trailer.
God, if they turn Star Wars into a gray-brown shit shooter.
Here's the thing, though. I saw their in-game trailer, and the whole thing about it is, to me, it kind of looked like a Battlefield game with a Star Wars skin on it. Nothing truly reached out to me. Yes, visually it looks fantastic, but I need something there to make it feel like this is in the Star Wars universe. This is a Star Wars game, not a skin of a different game. That was the main rant. That's my rant about it. Of course, there's this giant online petition by all people who claim that we need to not have any pre-orders for this game to let EA know we're not happy. And I'm like, you fuckers, the game isn't even in alpha yet. Why are you complaining so much? Like you said, the last, I think it was the last time or the time before that, the internet has given everyone a voice.
Not everyone fucking needs one.
Exactly. So, I don't know. Even though, like, I have my reservations about it, I know I'm going to play it.
I feel like right now it's just like hippies you see, like, at the mall or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of them. They're in force. And you just kind of have to look at them like, get a life. I mean, I understand that this is all something we love and enjoy, but it's like, you're taking this way too seriously. Just...
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. I mean, all in all, I would say Star Wars Celebration was an absolute blast to watch. It would have been better if we were able to go there in person, but, you know, not everyone has $140 to go 4 days, plus hotel, plus parking, plus food, plus all the stuff you can buy. You could easily drop $1,000 on a convention like this. They did announce...
Dude, we went to WonderCon for a day, and I stopped at one booth and dropped like $150.
Easily.
And then at another booth, another 40, and then just...
Oh, yeah.
In my defense, I bought way too many. I bought a lot of comics, and it was fantastic. Still pissed they didn't have turtles coming out of their shells.
I was really surprised that guy, one, did not know about it, and two, did not even... Let me phrase that. One, didn't have it, and two, didn't even know about it.
Okay, to clarify. Oh my god. Back when Turtle Fever was in full-blown motion, when I was like a babby, like at the age of like 8, there was a Turtles live show. I don't mean like the shit one that was on Fox, like a TV show. It was like you go to like, you know, the Staples Center or some big like stadium, and you can watch the Turtles perform live.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called Turtles Coming Out of Their Shell. It is known as one of the worst things ever made. And comic book conventions is where you're supposed to be able to find shit like that on DVD, or where you find your bootlegs.
Well, to that guy's credit, he did have a lot there.
Most of it was shit I could have just downloaded off the internet.
Well, yes, granted, but there's always something nice to have. I had that physical copy.
I know. That's why I bought the Star Wars Christmas special and the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
For the second time. Oh my god, I can't believe that. I can say that.
That you bought it for the second time.
Oh yeah. That is...
I don't know, that's something to be proud of.
It's like a turd rubbed or like rolled in glitter. Like it's just so shiny and stupid, but I have it.
Yeah.
It's where I get my inner Smeagol, just like my precious.
Movie so bad it was never intended to make it to theaters, and for damn good reason.
Dude, it's okay. You know me. You know I'm a huge fan of watching movies that are like really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But you watch them with friends and you drink and you kind of talk. That if you have a bunch of nerds together, that is the perfect fucking movie to have.
It really is.
Because most people didn't even know it fucking exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the movie you hear about in hushed halls and conventions.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you find some shady dude in a booth, like, I have that. Cool!
Yes, between... What do we call it? Desperation Alley?
Desperation Alley. Like, it's... Oh, my God. Friggs look tired. But... Dude, every convention or comic book convention you can ever go to, there's always what I refer to as Shame Alley. It's that just old, washed-up actors and stuff like that who, you know, I was Lizard Man number 3 in episode whatever of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Word.
Pay me $10 for my autograph. Why?
Because you get, you know, a glossy photo that I'll sign. The only one of those I would have even done, and it was cool because it wasn't even in like Shame Alley, was Billy West.
But the guy has done how many countless voice roles?
Doesn't matter.
No, I'm saying that'd be well worth it though.
Not when he was selling them for $50.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I got my licks in. I turned around and yelled, "You were the shit in Space Jam."
There's always just those roles that people question. Why do people keep on bringing it up? Be one of them.
He seemed in good spirit. I mean, he was Bugs Bunny.
Yep.
It's not like he was, you know, some obscure ass unknown character.
True. Very true.
Like, it's an icon. It's the Mickey Mouse of the Warner Brother world.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to some. I can't even call it depressing. I can't even call it angry news. I'm calling it what the ever living fuck news.
Okay.
It's been teased here and there for a while. Jared Leto's version of Joker for the upcoming Suicide Squad movie. I haven't been, let's say, less than thrilled over what's been released so far up until just a few hours ago before we taped this on Friday.
Why you're gonna bring it up?
I am, because this thing has to be shared. It is so bad. This is how Jared Leto is gonna look, or Leto gonna look, in Suicide Squad. How? Who in their right fucking mind thought that this would be the perfect idea to try to bring back Joker to the big screen?
I blame Heath Ledger. Or the Heath Ledger Joker.
Why?
Because people want, like, the dark, gritty, realistic, and grungy Joker.
This is beyond grungy. This is
I know. But they're always going to try to push it to an extreme until someone says enough.
This has to be that point.
I sincerely hope this is their enough moment.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even have, like, the red lips. He looks like he just ate, like, a purple popsicle and it just kind of stayed that way.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he has white skin. He just looks like he hasn't seen the sun in a couple days.
And not to mention, you gotta think, any type of Joker that...
What's with the fucking pinky ring?
Yeah.
And the overt tattoos. The biggest problem I had with the Heath Ledger Joker, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, and I do already. Heath Ledger Joker, he was too dirty, he was too grungy.
Okay.
Anytime, I understand I'm being that nerd who's like, I've read this, in this it's this way.
You're on the right show for this, so go ahead.
But in the comics, the Joker always treated, like, everything he did as if he was going on stage. He was giving some performance.
Exactly.
Hence the whole fucking theatrics thing.
Exactly.
Which is why it bothered me that the Heath Ledger Joker looked grungy and, like, gross. It's like, no. Shit. In multiple things, I've seen panels of the Joker, like, applying extra makeup, even though his face is already that way.
Yeah.
Because he's looking for an ideal form of perfection. This photo of fucking Leto is God.
This is like... some druggie in the street, some reason had enough money to get all these tattoos, and now he's
like
gonna
Sid Vicious as the Joker.
I don't understand it. The only glimpses of color, aside from the, I guess you can call that red on the lips, is the obviously dyed neon green hair and the single purple glove to try to signify, yes, this actually is the Joker. We have the same color scheme. I'm like, no, you fucking don't.
What's with the silver goddamn teeth?
Yeah.
He looks with a mouth like that. He looks more akin to the guy down the corner, like the Mexican guy down the corner, trying to sell me corn on the cob with mayo.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. If we go from this point and we have just this picture, what can you infer, good or most likely bad, from the character in the movie? I don't know. I mean, yes, we are ranting. Yes, this is exactly the place to do it because we are nerds. But still, what the ever-living fuck? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I understand, like, as a nerd, like, I've already... And an older nerd, like, I've been around the block a couple times. I've seen iterations done again and again and again. And I have my favorites, and I understand there's going to be new ones that are new and exciting and all that.
Right.
But this just...
Someone as iconic and... We'll put it this way. If you put...
I miss Caesar Romero Joker.
Oh.
The sweet little
Little mustache, yes. That was still painted over.
Goddamn right. Can't ruin that Latin lover image.
No, but it was basically, you can put Batman in front of anybody, whether or not they're a comic book fan, they will recognize that's Batman.
Well, they'll be like Bruce Wayne, and you can do the same thing with the Joker, too.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with Superman, same thing with Iron Man.
Maybe not the Joker. I feel like there's probably certain iterations of the Joker you can put in front of someone, and like, the fuck is that?
True.
Like, that's how I felt during the Batman animated one. It was just the Batman, where the Joker looked like a gorilla mixed with black stereotypes.
Yep. I don't know. And then you would throw this character, or this picture of this character in front of people. They would probably think it would be like some guy literally just got caught and thrown in jail for processing, and he's still coming down.
So much meth.
I don't know.
Oh, Heisenberg has some explaining to do.
All I have to say is, if this is indication of what to expect from Suicide Squad, it could be a good thing, because if Suicide Squad flops, Warner Brothers will probably take a strong, hard look at these live-action movies and go, let's focus more money on the animated movies, which have been very good, and let them finally do the Killing Joke.
We've been campaigning for that one for a while.
I know.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hope this bombs. Just because, like, what's the one thing they have going for them right now? Fucking the Flash, Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I told you I felt bad because the first episode, or first thing you and I did together, I was playing like not Flash, Arrow. No, I can only handle so much with a shirt off. Mm-hmm. First season, he does that a lot, and it was frustrating. But oh my god, that show is actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things I feel like maybe they'll reevaluate things. Like, okay, maybe we need to like focus more on these TV things and just work them and build them up.
Exactly. At that point, then make the jump from small screen to big screen. Yeah, well, we've already gone through what DC, their plan is, and how much we disagree with it. But
they're playing catch up in the worst way possible.
Oh no, I completely agree. But then let's tie this over into Batman v Superman.
Okay.
They had the first trailer, I guess, come out. What were your thoughts on it?
I liked it a lot.
Okay.
I enjoyed that there was no Nolan Bale Batman voice. They kind of, like, much like an Arrow, just the voice modulator voice, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know. No voice will ever be more Batman than Kevin Conroy. But no, it was very interesting to see them bring Batman in. They haven't mentioned a whole lot how they plan on bringing, what is it?
Wonder Woman?
Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and then for a while there was rumored that Cyborg's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole clusterfuck, which the fact that they had mentioned a while ago that they had already casted their Flash makes me like even more worried. Like the Flash is going to show up at some point.
Yeah.
Like, why even cast him and blatantly say we've casted him? Here he is. Like, when there's no script and anything else unless you threw him in this.
Mm-hmm. The whole thing. I'm going to interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
That. Like you said, they're playing massive catch up to Marvel, because Marvel had all these individual movies for all their tentpole characters.
Yeah, for what?
And
like
then
almost 10 years now,
something like that, and then was able to then bring them all together for one giant movie, starting with the Avengers. And now you have Avengers: Age of Ultron coming out in like a week.
I'm so excited!
It's gonna be so much fun.
Again, I'm gonna bleach my hair again and go as Captain America. I'm gonna rock that weird. Okay, I don't give a fuck. It says extra large, one size fits all. It does not fit all. Like, I understand, like, I'm not the smallest dude.
Right.
But I had, like, the meanest moose knuckle ever trying to wear that thing. Like, it just bunched everything. And it was something very creepy. Like, there's these kids that were running around like, oh, Captain America. I'm like, I am some nerd at the block, or at the local like, Cineplex, just getting drunk, making dick jokes, and I feel bad because I'm dressed as your hero.
Well,
God, it was terrifying.
But I mean, going back in with the tie-in to with DC versus Marvel, is that DC's trying to do in literally just one movie.
Do again what Marvel did in like 10 years.
Exactly. I would say about 5 years before they got to the first Avengers movie. It's getting close to the 10-year anniversary now. But
well, okay. Well, what was the first movie then?
The first movie I would say was Iron Man. When they brought back the first Iron Man. Why do you look that up? I just look at it as you have, let's say, maximum 2.5 hours for Bats v Soups. In that time frame, you have to do the whole Batman versus Superman battle, obviously. You have to give them an introduction to a villain for them to team up and go against.
I'm way off. It was only 4 years.
4 years? Okay. But then you have this point of that whole section, maybe an hour and a half. Now you have an extra hour to basically fit the backstory and some sort of legacy tie-in for 3, 4, maybe 5 extra heroes thrown into the mix so you can end Bat v Soup with you have your Justice League.
Some kind of hopeful closure.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be so... I won't even say fast-paced. I would say chaotic.
Well, I feel bad knowing that I can say this and will not feel any remorse whatsoever. I would rather watch one episode of the show The Flash instead of watching Batman v Soups.
And I agree with you with that.
Like, you give me one episode of that, I'm like, I'm in.
The only thing that got me, I don't even call hyped, say interested, in Bat v Soups is essentially we're seeing more of Batfleck.
Batfleck.
And I have to say, this version that they're showing, in the trailer, this very beefed up, almost hulky looking, outfit.
Well, that's what Batman would have to be to kind of be this ideal specimen. Like, it's just...
Exactly, but I look at it as, this is very Dark Knight-esque. And they've already mentioned that the Dark Knight Returns is a major influence in this. So, I like that aspect of it. But all the stuff about Superman being a false god, about everyone turns on him, I'm like, that was going to happen anyways. Not to mention, in watching the trailer, can they get any darker? I'm not talking about dark and gritty. I'm talking like color. Like, it's going to be at that point that after this movie, we're going to get to Justice League. And it's seriously going to be a black screen, and we're just going to hear them. It's going to be a radio drama.
Well, dude, didn't they joke about Man of Steel or something involving that, where someone went through and like, okay, this movie's way darker than it needs to be. This is what Superman actually looks like after we took away, like, 3 layers of filter.
Mm-hmm. I just look at it as, really? Do we really need to keep on going down this ultra dark and gritty path? And I'm like...
Well, dude, I told you, one year at Comic-Con, I could not stop laughing because I made the mistake of... Well, not really a mistake. I had to sit on a panel for Punisher and a couple other things. And the entire time, like, they're just like, every fucking panel was, it's going to be dark, it's going to be gritty. Did we mention it's going to be dark and gritty?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
at that point, it's literally like, here, come to the panel. Great. As you weigh out, pick up your pound of your bag of gravel.
So you can emulate the Batman voice.
Yeah,
No, it's.
I don't know. I mean, again, nerd rage. Is this going to stop me from going to see it? No.
Maybe.
Am I going to go see it? Yes. How sober am I going to be? Questionable.
Well, no. At this point, I feel like it's like Avenger isn't everything Marvel keeps doing lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we brought it before. There was a video on Cracked where Daniel O'Brien was on there, and he's like, "Yeah, can I just give you like $500 and you can just give me a ticket to just like everything?
Everything.
Like you have my money."
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about Marvel. Like me and my friends, like we plan shit in advance. Like we'll pull up each pull up our phone, and be like, "Okay, cool. Avengers comes out on this date. Make sure to request that day off. We're going at midnight.
Yep.
If you're worried about sleeping, get the next day off too. Doesn't matter." Okay, what are you doing on this day? Why? Well, so that's when this movie comes out, and we have to go to that.
Yep.
And like we basically plot our entire movie outings for an entire year around all this. And with Batman v Soups, I look at that. It's like I would only go if most of my friends like, dude, we have to go. And as of right now, the only selling point you have is fucking Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Which, again, a lot of people apparently are pissed off of, and I don't fucking get it.
It's because all the people who are complaining about Batfleck are most likely the people who think that Christian Bale's Batman was the quintessential Batman.
But it wasn't.
There's... To me, the quintessential Batman for me will always be Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
After that, let's face it, Adam West. Because that's just crazy.
Well, the beauty thing about Batman, and it actually, as a nerd, it even took me a while to realize, because I used to be that purist of Batman's supposed to be dark and brooding, and, you know, Batman's supposed to be this. And that's,
darkness.
This is, yeah. This is what Batman's supposed to be. There was an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold with Batmite where I feel bad. Just one of the worst fucking characters in comics is the one that made me realize the error of my ways. Is Batman is whatever you need him to be.
Yes.
If he needs to be lighthearted and just, you know, pow, Zoc, you know, good thing we landed on this giant pile of foam rubber shards. That's what Batman is. Mm-hmm. If you need him to be the dark animated character with Kevin Conroy, boom, that's what he is. Mm-hmm. If you need him to be the dark voiced Christian Bale having to breathe after every sentence, that's what he can be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Batman is whatever you need him to be, and Batman can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the second you have Superman get way too dark, that's not Superman. You have Superman be way too over the top and chipper. Man, Superman's a little bitch.
Yeah.
You have Superman be Superman. No one knows what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because only the nerds that give a shit about Superman, or nerd completionists like me, who will sit there and be like, what? I missed these issues? How did I not know? How did this escape my eye? Like me, who have read it, and it's just... But... Like, even speaking of going into what Batman needs to be, I know you're probably going to pull up Frank Miller is doing a third installment of The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, and I know that you're not a fan of this, but I am massively looking forward to this. I am a big fan of Frank Miller's writing.
Oh, no, I'll still fucking buy the thing and buy it and read it. I think I told you once before, I am a firm believer in the green eggs and ham mentality. You can't knock or make fun of something until you've seen it for yourself, or try to give it a fair shot at least.
Exactly.
Oh, fucking Twilight. So even if I already have whatever I have against Frank Miller, I have personal reasons too, where he basically was an asshole to a buddy of mine, and that's irrelevant.
Okay.
But I don't like his stories. Like, they're the most uninteresting, and I could talk way too much about this, but I'm not too excited for this, but I will read it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much intrigued to see what he's going to do with it, because it's been a break of what, over 10, almost 20 years?
Something like
since
that.
Dark Knight Returns, because I want to say those were done like late 80s, early 90s.
Let's see what it was. Yeah. It's actually even longer. It's the 30th anniversary of the Dark Knight Returns.
Christ.
So, and I'm sure they're going to probably tie this in somehow with Bat v Soups.
Oh, yeah, of course.
People are already, someone's already complaining about the subtitle for this new version, which is, it's called The Master Race. Oh my god, Frank Miller's racist. We've known this shit for decades. Get over it.
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh my god, that's genius, man. I need to find it for you. I read one of those online comics once, like web comics or whatever. And Frank Miller's like, I can do anything, stands like Superman. And then this little girl walks up and is just like, can you draw women that aren't prostitutes, or have a story where a strong female like character is not a prostitute in any way? It shows him sitting at a desk looking very seriously and just
gun to the head and boom.
Because it's true, he can't.
No, this is very true.
Like, he makes me feel okay in any of my terrible decisions towards female. It's like, at the end of the day, not as bad as that guy.
I don't know how to respond to that one, actually. But
because I'm right.
Yes, okay.
It
fine.
very rarely happens.
But yeah, so with this coming out in the fall of 2015, again, I'm looking forward to it. I'm a Frank Miller fan. But the problem is, and you hit it right in the nose, it's been 30 years since he wrote the Dark Knight Returns.
Okay, but Frank Miller doesn't write for the occasional nerd.
No.
He doesn't write for the new, if there even is a new generation of kids that go to comic book stores and still pick up issues. He writes for people like us.
Mm-hmm.
Like those who are way late 20s, early 30s and beyond, because that's what he does.
Yep.
So for those of us that were around and or read this over a decade ago, which I'm guilty of, I think I read it almost 15 years ago. God, I feel old. I feel like I just read one of those BuzzFeed articles. You don't know how I know you're old?
Oh God.
Oh Jesus. And I read it and I'm like, oh, all right, cool. But I don't. People will read it. People will buy it.
Yeah.
I want to try to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Man, when was the last time you read Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Strikes Back?
It has to be at least 2 years since I've last read it.
That's more recent than I am.
Okay. And that was only because I was up at Michael's place, and Michael and Nikki's place up north, and I had a stack of comics that they said, you haven't read these yet, so you're going to read these all night. I'm like, okay, cool, sure. So, read them all them, and part of that was, oh yeah, I haven't read this one in a while, and I pulled it out and read it again.
Like a good friend does?
Yes.
I'm guilty of that. I have friends that's like, oh, I want to get into reading comics. Who do you want to read?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Who's your favorite character? Flash? Which one? Barry Allen? You need this one?
Yep.
You need this one? This one doesn't really have to do with him entirely, but
it's still good.
It'll make sense after you read the first two. Okay. And now I've done that with people, and I always feel weird because you've seen my apartment. I have a big ass, like your shit, just with comics.
Yes.
And I've been that weird, like, almost professor of, like, how have you not read this?
I have multiple friends who are like that. I have my buddy Ruben, who has a bookshelf like yours full of different comics, especially with a lot of, like, the Green Lantern stuff. I read
like
all of that through him.
You pointed over, I'm like, where?
Also, Nikki works at a comic shop, so it's like,
well, see,
she's current on everything.
See, I don't work at a comic book shop, but in what I refer to as my gravy days, basically when I was still living at home, like I didn't have to pay rent.
Right.
So getting a paycheck was like, hey, here's, your $300 every other week. Cool. Rent? What's rent? Here, comic shop. Can I just sign this out to you, or do I actually have to go to the bank first? And the worst part is, you've seen all my comics?
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe about half the size of what it should be.
No,
because I've had friends like, oh, you've never read this? Fucking go.
You handed a bunch of stuff for them to read, and you never saw them again.
Just like that random character on a TV show.
It's the same thing with all
they're never heard of, or never heard or seen from again.
It's the same thing with a lot of my DVDs. I used to have a much larger collection, and a lot of people back in college and shortly thereafter wanted to hang out and get an anime, and of course I was the one that had all the DVDs. And I let them borrow it and whatnot, and I remember actually having a full DVD collection of the Robotech series.
Here was your first mistake. You're old.
Well, yes.
Second mistake. When I'm assuming around the time this happened, digital was a thing, and this is what my buddy Brian did.
Pre-digital, actually. This was around 2000.
What, like early 90s?
No, like okay, it wasn't as prevalent as it is today.
Okay, that's I'm like because my buddy Brian, easily one of the smartest fucking dudes I know. Super into anime, and every time someone's like, "Oh, you should watch this anime," I'm like, "Yeah, cool." I don't want to watch a bunch of 12-year-olds fucking scissor when there's tentacles around. But they're like, no, you need to watch. I'll go to him and be like, Brian, is it worth watching this? Well, you'd probably actually enjoy it. Or, no, don't watch that at all.
Yeah.
And even then, like, he would either have it already on DVD, which he had like maybe 10 series on DVD.
Right.
Or in that, he's like, all right, cool, bring your hard drive over next time you come. I'll load it all on there.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you a flash drive.
Mm-hmm.
And you're good to go.
Right.
I mean, even, what fucking show was it? I think it was like Hellsing or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, he owned it on DVD. Mm-hmm. But when someone asked him to borrow it, and he goes, bring a flash drive. Well, you have it right there. Can't I just, like, take that? bring a flash drive.
Been burned way too many times.
No, he was never burned. He's just one of those people who's like, I don't fucking trust you. Like, he was just smart.
Yeah. Another friend of mine, with all the comics and everything, whenever I would borrow like a game or a comic, he would actually say, okay, hold this, hang on a second, and take a picture of me holding it. So we knew that.
I had a friend that did that too.
I was like, that's
fucking
genius.
Brilliant in some way. But see, the worst part about that is, like, he had the one like, fuck it, I'll even include myself. My buddy Brian, like, one of his biggest faults is the fact that he had friends that are like some of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever met in my many nerd travels. I don't mean they're just douchey and misogynistic. Like, they're like the worst kind of nerd possible. And one of them, I'm just gonna say his name was Nathan Green.
Okay,
the guy was a piece of shit. Nathan Green borrowed a bunch of like Brian's games, like his GameCube games, like games Brian really loved playing. That's why Brian was like, "No, just borrow them. They're really good."
Right.
Like 2 or 3 years later, Brian would be like, "Oh yeah, I remember having that game. I want to play that again." Like any nerd does.
Yeah.
They want to revisit shit that they love. He's like, "Oh, I think Nathan had it." Goes to Nathan. "Oh, I thought you were done with him, so I just sold him at GameStop." You committed 2 to 3 terrible acts in one go.
Oh.
Yeah. You cringe just from the story of that.
Oh, yeah.
I heard that, and I just want to punch him in the face. Oh, that guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, thankfully we have drinks to drink the pain away.
I drink so much that it doesn't hurt so bad.
All right. Well, let's jump over to TV real quick before we wrap this up. There's a couple of things that have been announced that make me wonder, why does Hollywood think the 90s are still a thing, and why do we need to revisit them? First one, Galaxy Quest. I have to be honest, I loved the first movie. It was cheesy to a fault.
No, it was cheesy, and it was a throwback to Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like,
great cast.
That movie is as close as that movie walked the fine tightrope line of mocking and paying homage to something, and it was just fucking fantastic.
It was.
It's one of the only movies you can get me to watch that fucking has Tim Allen.
What, you want to watch Jungle to Jungle?
That's right, he was in that. The only thing I can remember about that movie was the little kid's name was Cat Piss.
Yes.
Mimi Siku.
But yeah, there's always been years of fans saying we're clamoring for a sequel. Well, you're never gonna get it. But you're gonna get the next best thing. It's been announced that I believe it's Paramount is working on a TV adaptation of the Galaxy Quest series. They haven't specified what the story is going to be, because you can either do one.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. If it's just like another adventure out in space, like that's their season. Or like part of me really hopes it's the actual Galaxy Quest, where it's legitimately just Tim Allen thinking he's the captain, like it's the actual.
Right.
But at that point, I feel like that would work better as like a web series.
Yeah, true. I mean, I highly doubt they're gonna get any of the original cast back. Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, you had Alan Rickman in there. I don't know if they're gonna stick around for like a TV series nowadays. Well, maybe Tim Allen. But...
So what the fuck is Tim Allen doing?
Yeah, good point.
He had that show, was it Last Man Standing, that lasted like 2 seasons?
Maybe that, if that.
And nobody fucking watched because it's goddamn Tim Allen?
Yep. But I just look at it as, it could be fun depending on how they do it. They can either do behind-the-scenes documentary of them actually working on, the series.
But see, unless you get the original cast back, it's not going to work.
That's a big thing to ask, though. I mean, because even the movie itself made a very modest, revenue at the box office. It wasn't a smash hit by any stretch of the imagination. That's why I only think that you will probably see the characters, but you will not see the same actors and actresses from the movie. Not to mention, that was...
But see, that would be 1999. The charm of it, though.
Oh, it would be a great charm of it.
Are you kidding me, dude? It fucking had Justin Long in that movie. Yeah. Like, before he was the Apple kid.
Yep.
Like, he was just weird nerd kid.
I'll say this. If by some feat of the cosmos, and this ends up getting picked up by, say, like, Netflix, and they boost their budget and able to bring the original cast back, you're damn right. I'm gonna marathon this fucking thing from day one.
I would watch and I wouldn't even know if I'd marathon it. I'd probably be like that fat kid at the pool. Like I'd dip my toe in, like just slowly and like try to figure my shit out. I mean, like when Daredevil came out, and that was something else recently. My God, that was fucking amazing.
It was incredible.
And
brutal as fuck.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
That was the first thing I told you. But with that, I immediately knew. Like I sent my girlfriend a text. I requested the next day off of work. Like I'm not working on this Saturday. Well, why? I'm like, because I got shit to do. Because I knew, like, with a show like that, I'm just going to sit there. I'm either A, not going to sleep, and I'm going to power through it and just be fucking dead to the world for the next day, just because I need to catch up on it. Or B, I will fall asleep, wake up, have to rewatch those 2 episodes, and then finish the fucking rest of the show the next day. And I'm not going to want to do anything.
Right.
But with this, again, I feel... I don't want to be that asshole that says it had heart. I feel like that's
asking for a lot. There wasn't really heart from it. There was campiness and there was charm. I don't think there was heart.
There was a labor of love. You can see that these are people out to make like a Star Trek parody. But obviously they didn't get the rights.
Satire / homage, yeah.
So that's the route that they went.
Right.
And you could see that it was like a labor of love. Like this was something that they desperately cared about.
Right.
Whereas this, I feel like it's just like a cash grab of some kind. Of like, look, we need ideas. Guys, what do you got? Dave in the corner, what do you got? Galaxy Quest reboot? The fuck?
No.
Who has anything else?
No.
Nothing? All right, David, we're going with your idea.
No, Dave, you're going to sit in the corner. We'll think about your idea. Alex in the corner, in the other corner, I should say, you think we should revive Full House. Give you tons of money.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, what are the other actors doing? The Olsen twins need a reboot. John Stamos hasn't done anything.
The Olsen twins need some money to pay for their
rehab
visits.
John Stamos hasn't done anything except for show up randomly and be John Stamos.
Yep.
Which I feel bad because when John Stamos, like he was one of the better characters on that entire show. And
please, he's making enough money right now for it with his Greek yogurt commercials.
Whatever. I'm sure that probably pays for a function of whatever back taxes he may or may not owe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, anytime I see a star from the 90s and I see him start like I'd disappear or reappear again out of obscurity, I'm like, oh,
it's a cash grab.
How much do you owe the government in taxes? Are you trying to avoid pulling a Wesley Snipes?
They're not trying to pull, a Wesley Snipes on this.
But I mean, like, Uncle Joey, like, even as a kid, I'm like, I fucking hate you.
Well, dude, have you ever seen Bob Saget's comedy after this ended?
No, not even that. Even before then, like his whole thing, like he was fucking
ruthless on his fucking castmates. Oh my fucking god! And it was hilarious too.
Well, that was kind of like he found his little niche and he fucking stuck with it.
Yep.
Let's deconstruct your entire love of shit and go from there, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I mean, my sisters were way more attached to that than I was. I would look at the older sister and be like, why do I feel funny downstairs? Or John Stamos' wife, girlfriend, or whatever the fuck she was in the show. Girlfriend, then eventually wife. You can say have mercy all you want to her. I don't care. I would do worse. But other than that, it just seemed like eye candy to me.
Yeah.
And it's too little too late. I feel like this is probably them trying to like do their version of Girl Meets World.
Yeah, they probably saw the success of Girl Meets World on Disney and went, we can do that too with Full House. Now, granted, they have most of the cast returning to reprise their roles. You have John Stamos being one of the producers on the series. Bob Saget will also will come back as a guest role, which would be funny as hell to see how that turns out. But here's the thing, though. Let me say the synopsis because this thing puts this into a whole new perspective. So I'm excited for this. In Fuller House, that's the name of it. The adventures that began in 1987 on Full House continue with veterinarian DJ Tanner Fuller, which is played by Cameron Brewer, pregnant and recently widowed, living in San Francisco. DJ's younger sister / aspiring musician Stephanie Tanner and DJ's lifelong best friend / fellow single mother Kimmy Gibbler, along with Kimmy's feisty teenage daughter Ramona, all move in together to help take care of DJ's 2 boys, the rebellious 12-year-old JD and the neurotic 7-year-old Max, and her soon-to-arrive baby. You are speechless, I see.
Is that a synopsis or like the world's weirdest fucking Mad Lib ever? Like, I really feel like there was 3 dudes just like in a hotel room somewhere, strung out on something for the past 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I have an idea. All right, let's just spitball. We got this going. Let's keep going. Oh my god.
So the kids have grown up. They've now reached into the 2000s. Some are pregnant. Some have been married and divorced. Others have kids.
No, you widow them. This way, there's no divorce. You can't piss off the Christian.
Can't use that. Yeah.
Can't piss off the conservative right. Oh my god, that is a fucking thing.
Take cast of Full House. Throw them into a premise of Arrested Development. Throw kerosene on it and throw a match. That is what Fuller House is going to be.
I can't not look away. This is fucking baffling to me. Like, who, why?
So, DJ Tanner
with adjectives like feisty,
or I never
rebellious 12-year-old, neurotic.
Yeah,
what 7-year-old is fucking neurotic? Really?
That's kid's gonna literally be having to set the house on fire every single episode, if not do something worse than that.
When I was 7, I was sad over the fact that it's like, oh yeah, when I was six, my name has 6 letters in it. When I was 6, that made sense, but now it's 7, so it's different. That's how my fucking mind worked.
That was
that.
Now we have
what the shit,
neurotic.
Man?
Is this 7-year-old doing like heroin now or something like that?
Starting a blog.
Yeah. $10. The 12-year-old JD is gonna have some sort of vlog going on, and they're gonna go around the house.
12-year-old JD has a podcast that no one watches.
Yes. Oh, God. So a little while back, we went to go see tapings of At Midnight, and the hype guy that they have there to make sure the crowd is active and laughing and whatnot. He said at the beginning that without the audience there, the show At Midnight is nothing but a podcast, and no one wants to.
No one wants to watch a
podcast. And we're just looking at each other going, fuck. Which, the people watching this on YouTube, ha 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 ha, prove them wrong. People who listen to this on iTunes, my God, you're so right. Yeah, well, it is what it is.
I mean, you listen to this sweet molasses pouring out of my mouth right now, I can understand that, but visually, there's nothing impressive about any of this, but... Oh my God, I can't believe this is oh God, Full House.
Fuller House is a legitimate thing.
And it's Netflix.
Yep. The people who brought us Orange is the New Black and the most amazing series, Daredevil. You go to Full House. Like, I'm fully expecting JD to have a nervous breakdown and, like, not smack their kids, but literally throw them in a closet, lock the door,
Can they have an eccentric, like, Jesse moment from Saved by the Bell? Where they just start crying, I'm so excited, and I just can't hide.
Prescription drugs. I'm like, that was caffeine pills.
Was it? No, it wasn't even prescription drugs. She was just high on caffeine
pills.
Yeah,
it was just caffeine pills.
Yeah, oh my God. Netflix. It was only a matter of time before you got so big you just imploded on yourself, and now it apparently has happened.
But at least there is some sort of saving grace in this with the announcement that Daredevil is getting a season 2.
This I'm excited for. I'm definitely going to be intrigued to see how it goes. Because the main showrunner, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but he's leaving the project for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like, as long as you have, like, my God, I'm going to say it again, like, the same heart and the same feel that you got with the show. I mean, even that being said, I think I told you, like, there was one giant letdown moment for me in the Daredevil show.
Which was?
And it wasn't so much like a letdown, it was just like a weird, quirky joke, like I would have hoped was there.
Okay, which was?
For the majority of the show, he has, like, oh my God, the weird Frank Miller costume, where basically it's just a bandana
Just the
over his
bandana
face.
over his face, yeah.
But that makes sense. He's just a hero starting out. But in between having what would make sense as a starting out costume, and then leading into the red suit. Sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it. Fuck you, just go watch it. At the end of the show, he gets what's more similar to the you already pulled up a fucking photo. Fantastic.
Yes.
The red suit that we all know Daredevil has.
Yeah. With the modern twist, modern Avengers twist, which is
less, something more realistic.
Less spandex, more padded armor.
Less biker bar, more, superhero.
Yeah.
I was really hoping there was going to be a moment where Daredevil was rocking his yellow and red suit.
Oh, yeah.
Like the god-awful bright yellow and just like red nut hugger like singlet. And someone looking at him just going like, are you blind?
Now, my hope is that they're going to have something like that in season 2. Have some sort of nod to it. Because you got to admit, this first season was all about Netflix and Marvel testing the waters of, okay, we've done TV, we've done movies to massive success. We've done TV to a pretty decent success as well. Let's go into TV without the restrictions. And
well, even then, it's not so much restrictions. It's, to quote Tim Minchin, Marvel's looking around going, I can have a dark side too.
And dear God, did they try to prove it. This series was brutal as fuck.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was the one thing I told you when you were starting it.
You did.
Shit fucking goes down, and we'll just leave it at that so we don't spoil more than already needs to be had.
Well, the only thing I will spoil real quick is we'll just briefly talk about the ending scene of episode 2. The hallway fight scene.
Okay.
Do you remember this scene?
Trying to.
Where you have, Matt Murdock in the corner, and it's him going through this hallway with several adjoining rooms, basically beating the living crap out of all the baddies, and it's a single shot take for like 5 minutes. That was expertly choreographed. I hate to use the phrase realistic. I won't use the word gritty, but realistic.
No, it was. I mean, be that asshole, like, they went dark and gritty, but here's the thing. They did it and still, oh my God, Marvel is fucking killing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to Marvel doing their cinematic universe,
yep,
I was pro DC all the way. I was that guy just like, go Batman, go Green Lantern, like just all of them. Like that was my jam.
Mm-hmm.
But ever since the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I've gone back and I've reread some of the comics, and it's like, oh my God, you guys have found like that weird happy medium.
They found the magic spot.
Oh my, they found the audience G spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like they found it and they've just been flicking that bean and it's fucking fantastic. Like I'm really even that more excited for the new series that's coming out. Where it's like Power Man or whatever it is.
Are you talking about the Netflix?
Yeah,
one?
Netflix. Like there's another
the Defenders.
No. It's not the Defenders, because the Defenders is what it's.
Defenders is Daredevil, Jessica Jones. Luke Cage,
no,
and Iron
they're
Fist.
gonna build into that eventually.
Right.
The next series is
the Inhumans.
No. That's off in Avengers of Shield. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, their whole shit.
Oh, their side little bit.
I don't know if Iron Fist is going to be involved in there, because if you look at the Heroes for Hire, it was always Iron Fist and Luke Cage teamed up.
Right.
So I don't know if Iron Fist is going to be involved in there. He might be. I mean but that series alone, like the actors they have lined up. They have Kristen Ritter, who's like a weird, like dirty little secret that goes on in here. And then you have David Tennant as the bad guy.
Dude, that's gonna be amazing.
As the Purple Man, amazing. I think it is. Like that, I'm very much intrigued to see how it's gonna be, because it's Marvel. Like they carved that weird corner of their market, just kind of going like, look, we understand we're that like Iron Man can't be the alcoholic, like just that ideal of what a superhero should be.
Right.
You have Captain America, you have all of that. And then now they're like digging even deeper into that and going, this is the darker side of our comics now. Like we have Daredevil, and now they're digging into Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and all of it. And I'm like, oh my God.
Which, let's face it, those characters never really had like a happy life.
God, no.
It was always as like, when you thought you could not get any lower.
They had the fucking shit parade of all things.
Yes, they did.
Just like when you're trying to walk proud, like just monkeys throwing feces at you, just terrible fucking things. I'm not going to claim to know all of it or even some of it, but from what I remember, like they never had a good time.
Right.
And it's weird the fact that Marvel, I think I've already said on this show before, something we've done before.
Right.
Marvel's getting to that point where they're almost too big to fail. And it scares me, the fact that... It
does scare.
That there is... Don't get me wrong, I'm super happy and I super enjoy everything they fucking do. But I am deathly afraid that they're going to do something. Like, the next big thing that they do is going to be the giant fucking letdown.
I'll say this. Phase 3 of all their movies and TV series, I have no doubts in my mind it's going to be incredible. I have no doubts in my mind it's going to be blockbusters, every single one of them. Phase 4, the first half of it that we know of so far.
But what's Phase 3?
Phase 3 is everything leading up to
Infinity Gauntlet.
Infinity Gauntlet.
Which I still
and then you jump from there to Inhumans. And the thing is, though, at that point, you walk a very thin line between everything that the Inhumans did in the comic series and trying to leave some sort of little tiny walkway, little tiny crack to get to X-Men if they ever, by chance, ever get the rights back to bring them back in.
It's not even that. Like, how do they...
How do they keep on themselves?
They take super nerdy things and they find a way to make it mass appealing.
Well, I'll say...
I mean, granted, I understand since, like, the late 80s, it has been an uphill battle of nerds.
Right.
And good people.
Right.
The internet, thank you for doing whatever it is you do. It has been that uphill battle of trying to make what we love and enjoy appealing to everyone. Dude, just today, I wish I wasn't fucking joking about this. I left my apartment to go get mail, dressed exactly as I am now, minus the fucking cardigan. And there is these 12-year-old kids, they're just like, nerd! Nerd! And I'm like, the fuck?
Either some parent is teaching them the great movies of the 90s, or...
I told you. I want to go to a convention with the red Letterman's jacket with the sleeves cut off, make my hair as poofed out and crazy just so I can yell at people, nerds! Hopefully with the big trophy full of beer.
Oh, it could be great.
God bless. Revenge of the Nerds, fantastic movie. Go look at it. Steph finally watched that. Fantastic.
Did she? Nice.
Yeah. But Marvel, like, prime example, Guardians of the Galaxy. A movie that shouldn't have fucking worked.
It should not have in any sense of the
imagination. You have a movie with a tree that says only its fucking name. You have a talking raccoon. You have a giant green murdering sociopath with Down syndrome. You have an arrogant pretty boy. And some green chick that also has homicidal tendencies.
Yes.
And somehow you manage to bring them together, make a fantastic film, still tie into the same universe and have certain jokes that fucking work, and have one of the greatest fucking soundtracks to a movie.
Oh, yeah.
I have seen in almost over a decade.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing, in the past decade, in terms of movies and soundtracks, there are two movies that are movie soundtracks that come to mind. Tron Legacy, because Daft Punk, the work they did on that was fantastic, and two, James Gunn's Awesome X #1. Like, if you just listen to the soundtrack on its own, it's fucking amazing. And if you watch it, or if you listen to it in terms of thinking of the movie and how everything plays out, it's still equally as fucking brilliant.
That's the brilliance of it, the fact that the soundtrack by itself is great. It's a great homage to back in the 70s. But the thing is, though, tied in with the movie, every single song had purpose, had meaning, has something to tie
Yeah.
in with that scene, not just we have the rights to let's just use it.
Well, dude, do you know my Spotify thing?
Yeah.
That still makes me laugh. I'm like 2 people away from like 450 people. Okay, internet. Apparently, Jordan didn't know this. Or, sorry, Jordan about a year ago didn't know this. That when you make a playlist on Spotify, it becomes like public domain almost.
Yeah.
Where people can follow
search for
or
it,
do
yeah.
whatever. I got drunk one day, and I was on the internet looking at a Nerdist article about the songs that were awesome mix, or the soundtrack to Guardians of the Galaxy. So I made it on my Spotify so I could listen to it and get as hyped as the average nerd would want to be. Now, this was about 3 months, or if not more than that, before the movie came out. My phone still goes off every now and again. So it's like, oh, Deborah Jo Ann is following your playlist. Lone Shark 719 is following your playlist. It goes off fucking randomly.
It does.
And Jason's, you've been there, and I'm like, really?
Several times, yeah.
Because I bring it up now, because it's basically a joke. But that soundtrack, I made like a playlist drunkenly, and I misspelled it.
Horribly at that point.
It's Guardian of the Galaxy. And
people still
follow it. It's almost at 450. There's almost 450 people listening to a bullshit drunk playlist that this asshole made. And how is still beyond me.
Gotta love the internet.
In the words of Pam Poovey, God bless them internets.
Well, let's end on a happy note. The upcoming Muppets TV series.
Oh.
So, when ABC made the announcement that a new Muppet series was in development, it made perfect sense for the sole fact that while the Muppets and Muppets the Most Wanted never really was truly big blockbuster films, it showed that Jim Henson's beloved characters were still, again, like I said,
outside of nostalgia, they're still
relevant, popular, relevant, all of this. So makes sense they're going to bring in here. Is it going to be a variety show blueprint, kind of like Muppets Tonight was? No. The thing is now, according to an article by Entertainment Weekly, they're actually going to turn this into a mockumentary style series, kind of like The Office, where it showcases all the different Muppets in their day-to-day work, also a little behind the scenes,
brilliant.
Talking about their relationships, their breakups, their hopes, their dreams, their failures, all this together in one series on TV.
God, that's brilliant.
I think that has to be the perfect way to bring back the Muppets into, well, I can't say relevance because they're already still relevant. They're timeless to be put in phrase. Yeah, okay.
They had some dark years.
Yeah.
Prior to the Muppet movie, there was those dark years where you could say Muppets and people immediately thought of like Yoda or Sesame Street or anything.
But could you imagine now in an Office-style mockumentary with the Muppets trying to put on a variety show and just having a ton of random guests just show up out of nowhere?
No, that's just it. Like I could just the random people that would show up. You know, it would be like the Tonight Show. Like any asshole that has a movie coming out, oh, we can go and do the Muppet Show. We can show up there. And you don't have to do a fucking skit. You don't have to sing a song with Miss Piggy. There's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
You could do that. Oh my god.
But think of it this way. Then you get to behind the scenes of all like the relationships like Kermit and Miss Piggy. All their different problems in the background, which is hilarious on like shows like The Office and Parks and Rec when it was on.
Well, they need something because Parks and Rec is done. You already know how to feel about The Office.
Yeah.
But, oh my god.
This could be...
You were joking when you said high note. That's fucking amazing.
So, we know for at least for a fact, the pilot episode, I should clarify, is going to be a mockumentary style. And if ABC is smart, and I think they are because they've done some really great stuff as of late, please greenlight this. Please continue on with this. Give it an entire...
Oh, it'll be greenlight.
10 episodes.
I would bet money on that now.
Yeah.
If it'll last more than a season, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it'll last at least that much.
It'd be fun, regardless.
Yeah.
So.
We get one season of kind of the Muppet Show back.
But like you said, like anybody of our age, our generation, or maybe even a little younger, if you mention the Muppets, it's always
you
I
see them
remember
just
this.
fucking light up like
Exactly.
Oh my! It's like that weird speakeasy handshake. Like, oh yeah, the Muppets, like Kermit. What?
Like I could bring a Kermit puppet in front of me. I can pull it up. You can see me holding it, and my hand up its ass and whatnot, and talking and whatnot. But at the same time, the moment I start moving Kermit around, the nostalgia and the magic kicks in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
takes
matter.
An entity of its own. Which
Exactly.
Is fucking, it's magic.
It's great. So ABC, please do the right thing. Greenlight this thing, and you'll have it for seasons on end.
Disney, you have all my money. I can't promise you anything, but please make it happen.
And with that, I think we should wrap up this episode. We've gone on for over an hour now at this point, but you know what? It's been a great episode as always.
And how?
God, this Red Breast 12 is amazing. So, recap, we've gone over everything for Star Wars. We've talked about everything going on with Netflix. We have Hollywood thinking that's still back in the 90s. We've talked about wrapping things up with
If you're going to bring
ABC.
anything back, bring back Small Wonders or Mr. Belvedere. Preferably in that order.
Oh my God, Small Wonders. And for
She
that,
made my downstairs feel magical when I first watched that show. Like, that's when I first was like, there's something about her. I like that.
You know, to be honest, the first one for me was Topanga from Boy Meets World.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so.
But, it's been a good show.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to the ramblings of
two drunk nerds.
Two inebriated pop culture enthusiasts. Yeah.
We'll be back next time.
Hopefully.
For Geeks and Drinks, I'm
Cheers,
Jason.
buddy.
This is Jordan. See you next
Cheers,
time.
Internet.